Ready? Jamie, I'm going to call a meeting of the Mount Angel City Council to order, January 6, 2025. Please join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes. Roll call, please.
Counselor Eager,
Here.
Counselor Astorga,
Here.
Counselor Donahue,
Here.
Counselor Ott,
Here.
Counselor Hooper,
Here.
Counselor Powell,
Here.
and Mayor Wall.
Here. Thank you. Do we have any citizens signed up?
I did not have anybody call me or email me wanting to sign up. Is there anybody here that would like to speak this evening?
Okay. Okay, then we'll move on to review of accounts payable. Our accounts payable report for December 2024. And if there are any questions, Councilor Hooker. Councilor Farrell?
None.
What? Councilor Astorga?
None.
Councilor Donahue?
0.
Councilor Ott?
It's all me, okay.
Yes.
All right, now I have a couple of them. On page 2, there's Bound to Stay book. What was that? Bound to Stay bound book? There's 2 categories for it. The total is 1,100.
Well, I'll try to answer for the librarian, but it's a new machine that she was super
Okay.
excited about. Saves her time and money and it binds books better than the old way. So like anytime the spine is broken, this machine fixes it.
But then there's another thing on page 9, which is what I thought the machine was. It's cover 1 repair binding machine, and that one is $1,500.
Oh, the first one appears to be 2 invoices of books.
Yeah,
Bound to Stay Bound is the,
Bound to
under.
Stay bound is books, and then the other one is the binding machine. Repair. But I guess that's really a Jackie question.
Yeah, I mean, I could go back and look. She could have bought that many books.
Well, I was gonna say, but the other one is probably her as well. There's an abundance of Amazon DVDs that total almost $800, and I was assuming that was for library stuff also.
What's the, if it's new books, it's a library question, yeah.
It's not, it's audio and visuals and CDs. on
Yeah,
page
that's,
10.
sorry, that's still a library.
That's still library,
Yeah.
okay, all right. That was all I had.
Council President Eater?
I have nothing.
I have nothing. So, moving right along to the consent agenda. One item, approval of city council meeting minutes of December 2nd, 2024. Any additions, questions, or corrections? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'm waiting to approve the city council meeting minutes of December 2nd, 2024.
Second,
Okay, moved by Council Volfer, seconded by Council Ott. Roll call, please.
Counselor Powell.
Aye.
Counselor Eager,
Aye.
Counselor Hooper,
Aye.
Counselor Astorga,
Aye.
Counselor Donahue,
Aye.
Counselor Ott,
aye.
Mayor Wall.
Aye. Okay. We have one item under old business, and it's review of the draft water master plan for discussion only. Mark, you want to introduce us?
I will. As you all have, on your flash drive, of course, we provided for you at the last council meeting, for you to review our draft water master plan. Tonight, we intended on coming together to talk about the water master plan to a certain degree, but to have a discussion about whether you're prepared to move into a full education mode over the water master plan, and question and answers from our city engineer, or whether you're wanting to have a work session at some future date to go completely through the water master plan, so that we can then codify it and ratify it before council. So, our city engineer is sitting right behind Councilor Bow at Wellington. And so he can participate in this conversation as well. He is prepared actually to go whichever direction council would like to go.
I don't care.
I wonder why.
I was gonna comment, and then I figured I'm not gonna do it, so.
Well, I would like to go through and discuss and get it codified because there is a lot to unpack. And I think if we go, not necessarily item by item, but some of the bigger stuff, punch item list items I could come up with, but. One of the things I wanted was go over the improvement list and maybe give those a ranking of priority. Not only just what the council we think, but what would be the best interest of the city.
Was that something that you wanted to talk about with the rest of the council? You want to have that conversation during the work session?
Yeah,
Okay.
aside from this, because yeah, I think it's gonna take just focusing on that and nothing else.
Okay. Thank you.
I'd like to have it in a work session, because I think it's important for us to fully understand it as we take multiple master plans and jam them together into a strategic plan. But before we do that, sorry, I'm kind of talking to you behind Matt. So when I got all the way down to page 684 or whatever it was, at the very end, I noticed we had a number of capital improvement projects. But then when we prioritized it, we had the rate study, the tank, and then it was like just all the distribution was kind of like one giant thing. And I'd really like to see on the prioritization list, and we can move them around in the work session, but break out the distribution sections like they are earlier in the report. And the only reason I say this is because I want to help identify the inclusion of those if we're doing other street projects. It's too big a bite. And so that way we can move stuff around and maybe slide some more stuff over to what we can accomplish right now. So I'd like to see that done prior to us having a work session.
Okay. Thanks for doing that.
Any other comments from council?
When would council like to have the work session?
Do we want to do it before we just tack it on before the next meeting? I don't know why I'm looking at Pete, he doesn't care.
I care, and I'm glad you're doing.
You won't be in attendance, I'll put it that way.
I think that'd be a good idea.
So I've spoken with the engineer today about this very topic. He can do a presentation in about 15 minutes and then plan for some questions and answers afterwards. Although I really like to believe that we can accomplish this in 30 minutes, I'd like to give it just a little bit more time.
And say, you know
So if we plan it for 6 o'clock and go through it from 6 till 7,
if we do it before the meeting, it keeps us out of the rabbit hole. If we have to finish in an hour.
well, but then if we don't,
Yeah.
we can schedule it for some more discussion at, you know, a later date, another Monday night or whatever is going to work for council.
It'll also give us time to form questions and maybe shoot them off to Alan or even engineer and maybe get some of those addressed beforehand.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, shoot them off to me and,
Yeah,
then we'll get them to the engineer and make sure that Alan is in the loop as well.
I was gonna say Alan's part of that work session too, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
We can make the changes relatively quickly and send you guys out a new version tomorrow when you distribute it. You can look at it before that meeting.
May take council to bring your flash drives back in because it's a big document, big PDF. So.
Okay, so you're gonna have a work session before the next council meeting on
Yes, we are.
February whatever.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, our next item, our first item, new business is the certification of 2024 general election, which is resolution number 1599. Your packet. I guess this is yours, Colby.
Yeah, it's what we do after elections. I have the numbers in front of you on the resolution. And we'll see who the winners are, and we also had our ballot measure on there, which did pass. So you'll see that reflected as well.
Any questions, council? Okay, then I will entertain a motion.
I'll move to adopt resolution 1599, canvassing the votes cast at the general election on November 5th, 2024.
We have a motion by Councilor Astorga, second by Councilor Hofer. To approve resolution number 1599. Roll call, please.
All right, Counselor Hott,
Hi.
Counselor Cobb,
Aye.
Counselor Eater,
Aye.
Counselor Hooper. Aye. Counselor Astorga,
Aye.
Counselor Donahue.
Aye.
Mayor Wall.
Aye. Okay. The next item is swearing in of mayor and councilors. We have our esteemed judge with us to do that. And so I'll hand that over to her.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me here. Guess we'll start, first, I have the oath set out for the three council members and the mayor, so we'll start with the mayor. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Joe.
Joe Cobb, oh, sorry.
That's okay. Do solemnly swear or affirm
Do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the constitutional laws of the state of Oregon,
and the constitutional laws of the state of Oregon.
and that I will faithfully and honorably conduct myself in the office of mayor for the city of Mount Angel.
I will,
Sorry.
I will faithfully and honorably conduct myself in the office of mayor for the city of Mount Angel,
To which I have been elected
to which I've been elected
to the best of my ability, so help me
to the
God.
best of my ability, so help me God.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got small pieces.
I'm sorry. And next we have Shelley Ott. Oh, that's right. We good. All right. I, Shelley Ott,
Hi, Shelley Hahn.
do solemnly swear or affirm
Do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the constitutional laws of the state of Oregon,
and the Constitution and the laws of the state of Oregon.
and that I will faithfully and honorably conduct myself
And I will faithfully and honorably conduct myself
in the office of counselor
in the office of counselor
for the city of Mount Angel,
for be a man angel,
to which I have been elected
to which I've been elected
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Thank you. Next, we have Jack Bullock. Raise your right hand. I, Jack Bullock,
I, Jack Bullock,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the constitutional laws of the state of Oregon,
and the constitutional laws of the state of Oregon,
and that I will faithfully and honorably conduct myself
and I will faithfully and honorably conduct myself
in the office of counselor
in the office of counselor
for the city of Mount Angel,
for the city of Mount Angel,
to which I have been elected
to which I have been elected
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
to the best of my abilities, so help me God.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The last, David Hope. I, David Hofer,
I, David Hoper,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of
that
America
I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
and the constitutional laws of the state of Oregon,
constitutional laws of the state of Oregon,
and that I will faithfully and honorably conduct myself
faithfully and honorably myself
in the office of counselor
in the office of counselor,
for the city of Mount Angel,
city of Mount Angel,
to which I have been elected
to which I have been elected
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
to the best of my abilities, so help me God.
Thank you. You.
You're not leaving yet. You're not even changing seats yet.
Okay, I want to present Mayor Powell with a small gift of my appreciation.
Should I open it now or later?
No, no, being a guy, I don't know how to wrap it.
Thanks, Pete. I love it. Yes. Let it be known, it's my gal.
I never had one to keep these people in check.
You know, I've always been so jealous of my wife. Because she has a gavel and I did not. So Pete, you're once again my hero. And with that, I'd like our city manager and chief of police, Mark, to do a small presentation to you, Pete.
So I'm gonna go back into a little bit of history and I'll try not to ramble quite so much. I did put together some notes. But for those of you who weren't aware, our people. Of course, he's from the East Coast, and after a recent trip to Boston, I can understand why he's so into such a wonderful place. Probably one of the cleanest big cities I've ever been to in my life. Very, very kind people, and they blessed us with Pete. Pete, for those of you who didn't know, served in the Air Force from 1963 to 1967. And he spent his time as a military police officer, guarding some very, very important assets here in our country. He also, when he got out of the military, he went to the University of Oregon. And he graduated from the University of Oregon in 1974 with a degree in public administration. Now, your ducks did how your ducks did. We can only hope for a little more orange and black, but your green and gold is just fine.
Thank you, thank you.
After Pete finished in school, he had a lot of different jobs. He worked for the Klamath County Planning Department, the Polk County Planning Department. Wouldn't you know, he was the Mount Angel City Manager. He also spent time as the Wilsonville City Manager, Hoquiam City Manager, the Toledo City Manager, And here's a real interesting thing that I learned about Pete that I didn't know. That he was the operations director at the Oregon Coast Aquarium. And I actually have a friend of mine who is the current operations director at the Oregon Coast Aquarium. And I thought that was awful cool. Then Pete returned back to Mount Angel as the Mount Angel interim city manager at one point. And kind of got things squared away and then kind of faded back, but he didn't fade very far because he has been a lifelong volunteer. He has coached kids sports. He was a part of the Mount Angel and the Wilsonville Lions Club. He has, of course, been on the Oktoberfest Board of Directors, the Chamber of Commerce Board member and president of the Chamber of Commerce here in Mount Angel. Been a part of the Community Foundation Board, the Mount Angel School District and Fire District Budget Committees. But we all know him probably best as a city councilor, city council president, and mayor, AKA Burgermeister. For those of us who weren't around in 2015, Pete was selected as the Mount Angel First Citizen in 2015, which was of course announced in 2016. There was an article done in Our Town in regards to his selection. There's a few things that I found really interesting about his selection. When he was awarded, Pete said it's nice to receive the award, and he was grateful to the committee for selecting him. Quote, I think of all the people who received the award, not one of them did it for personal recognition, he said. They all did it for their community. He then laughed and he said the reason for his volunteering is plainly to stay busy. In the nomination, a community member wrote, Pete has been a faithful supporter of our community for more than 35 years. And of course, that was 10 years ago. Mount Angel has truly benefited from his commitment to the community. Pete also said, quote, my style of doing things is everyone gets to express their ideas and opinions and no one is ignored. Whatever someone is trying to say, it's important that they're listened to. A common friend of Pete and mine, Maureen Ernst, a 2010 First Citizen, was quoted saying, Wall deserving this award. Pete Wall is a great chamber president and community leader. I personally appreciate all his support and value his friendship. Pete has two sons, Scott and Jeff, who live here in Mount Angel. Daughter Dana lives in Vancouver. He has 4 grandchildren, 2 boys and 2 girls, and 1 great granddaughter. A lot to be proud of. These are my notes. Pete, Mayor Wall, and I have never fully agreed on a few topics. But I have tremendous respect for him as one of the members of the city council, council president, mayor, and resident of this great community who entrusted Mount Angel to me and the other employees of this great city to continue to make this a great place to play, shop, be entertained, volunteer, and to call home. I have several things I would like to present to Pete tonight in recognition of his service to the community. First, I'd like to recognize him as a veteran. I would like to thank him for his service to our country. Serving the Air Force and in line with the military tradition of recognizing a high level of commitment as well as quality service, I would like to award Pete with 2 challenge points. The first coin, officially minted to recognize our police department as the official Oktoberfest Police and Public Safety Department, officially given to say thanks to our young police volunteers at the conclusion of each year's festival. And I wanted to give that to Pete, not because he's a young volunteer. He should always be remembered as a young volunteer. But he was once a police officer, and quite frankly, he'll always be a police officer. And I appreciate what it is that he brought to our profession, but then what it is that he means to our community. And he's given our department significant support in the past, and I suppose in the future as well. The second is a chief's coin. The chief's coin is a coin that I had created at no cost to the city to recognize distinguished service, commitment, and partnership. To this day, I've only given 3 of these coins to anyone, and the 4th will be given to Pete Wall. Thanks, sir. Next, I would like to present you with an American flag. This flag was flown over the city of Mount Angel at City Hall for the final year of Pete's term as mayor. We would like to present this to you as a small token of our appreciation for your service to us all. And now the final item is a plaque. And I would like to be able to take this honor to read the plaque. Take one person. I'm gonna do it. It has, of course, our great heart for the city of Mount Angel. That the city of Mount Angel, Oregon recognizes Mayor Pete Wall in honor of his service to the community, the state of Oregon, and to the nation. Mayor Wall began his service to this country in 1963 with the U.S. Air Force. He has served as a military police officer, municipal planner, city manager, and director of operations. He leads by example, volunteering his time selflessly to the community, its boards, organizations, the Mount Angel City Council as a councilor, council president, and as the city's mayor. Mayor Wall has also been selected as Mount Angel's first citizen. We're grateful for your assistance, your leadership, service, and friendship. Thank you for all of your willingness to serve all of us and others. January 6th, 2025.
Maybe we should redo your evaluation. Which was outstanding, by the way. Oh, good. Okay, now can I go?
Don't ever change the amount.
No, it's okay. Well, I appreciate everything.
You want hand carrying anything?
Thanks. Now you can use your gavel. Congratulations.
Thanks, Pete. We appreciate it. Thanks, Pete.
One.
I don't know if I'm ready to sit that close to Ray. All right, well, I guess first and foremost, let's buckle up. The rest of the night's probably gonna be a little bumpy.
You're gonna do fine.
So real quick. Normally, we do appointments, we often don't actually have people here. We have me in a rare case where, the 2 folks who are up for library board appointments down in, new business number I happen to be here at the moment. And so I'd love it if we could move them up real quick and get that taken care of, and then they can go home and finish their homework. So we have two folks up for library appointments. And I'm gonna go ahead and ask Mark, since Jackie's not here, to go ahead and share. Right,
Okay. The Library Advisory Board currently has two vacancies, a position for a four-year term that expires 6/30 of 2028, and a youth position that expires on 6/30 of 2025. Staff's recommendation is to approve the application of Joanne Fowl to fill the vacant position on the Library Advisory Board that expires on 6/30 to 2028, and to approve the application for Braylon Fowl to serve as the youth representative on the Library Advisory Board for the remainder of the term that expires 6/30 of 2025. Both applications are attached in your packet, council. That's all staff has to say at this point.
I am gonna sit this one out for obvious reasons. But they might have any questions, they are here, or we can entertain a motion to appoint.
I move to approve the application of Joanne Fowl to fill the vacant position on the Library Advisory Board that expires 6/30/2028. And I also move to approve the application of Braylon Fowl to serve as the youth representative on the Library Advisory Board for the remainder of the term that expires 6/30/2025.
Second.
I have a motion from Counselor Storga, seconded by Counselor.
Counselor Donahue? Aye. Counselor Ott?
Hi.
Counselor Bullock?
Aye.
Counselor Eater?
Aye.
Counselor Hooker?
Aye.
Counselor Astorga?
Aye.
And Mayor Fowle?
I will abstain. Congratulations, you two.
Thank you.
Good things.
That's right, like Pete says, do good things.
Thanks for coming in.
Next, we have review of the city council rules. Every year, I believe, they are brought before us to suggested corrections and changes. And can be brought back in February.
No, it's actually every 2 years on the odd number years. Council reviews them. The last time they were reviewed was March 2023. We can give you a month till next meeting to review those, make any suggested changes, so that we can then approve them and move forward at the next council meeting.
Do any counselors have any questions or edits to the copy that was included in the packet? Counselor Bullock.
No, I guess my question would be, is there anything that we should be aware of or focused on?
Oh no, I looked at them 2 years ago.
Were there any changes made 2 years ago?
There were some minor changes that were made 2 years ago, but they had a lot to do with what we could or what we could not do based on ORS versus ordinance. And had a lot to do with, if someone came in and was disrupting that council meeting. We made those substantive changes and moved them forward. Well,
Counselor Donahue,
Nothing.
Counselor Ott. Council President Eater, I'm sure you can recite them.
Nope.
At this point.
No questions.
Counselor Hoover. Counselor Storga. All right.
Right now.
I would entertain a motion to. Actually, I would entertain a motion to accept the council rules as presented.
to accept them as
Yeah,
presented?
nobody's got any edits, let's just accept them, can we do that?
Yep, absolutely.
I'll move to accept the council rules as written.
Second.
I have a motion by Counselor Storga, seconded by Counselor Hofer to accept the council rules as presented.
Counselor Astorga,
Aye.
Counselor Donahue,
Aye.
Counselor Hawk,
Hi,
Counselor Bullock.
Aye.
Counselor Peter,
Aye.
Counselor Hopper.
Aye.
Mayor Bauer.
Aye. Next up, we have the opportunity to deliberate and elect a council president for the two-year term ending December 31st, 2026. Would you like to read that one?
Well, the background is pretty simple. At its first meeting after the charter takes effect, and thereafter, at its first meeting of each odd numbered year, which is tonight, the council shall elect the president from its membership. In the mayor's absence from a council meeting, the president shall preside over council. Whenever the mayor is unable to perform the functions of the office, the president shall act as mayor.
So at this point, I would open it up to anyone who is interested in being council president or sharing why before we move to start nominating each other.
I move to elect Ray here as council president for a 2-year term ending December 31st, 2026.
second.
Yeah,
Right all over that.
sorry.
No, you're not.
In the
Not sorry either.
in the
Sorry, I'm not listening.
thought of saving community funds by not making you a new name tag. I have a motion from Counselor Donahue, seconded by Counselor Ott to elect Mr. Ray Eater as council president for another 2-year term ending December 31st, 2026. You get your choice. You can vote no.
Oh, watch me.
All right. Counselor Hopper,
Aye.
Counselor Astorga,
Aye.
Counselor Donahue,
Aye.
Counselor Hawk,
Hi,
Counselor Black,
Aye.
Counselor Peter,
Nay.
Mayor Bauer.
Nay. Congratulations, Council
Thank you,
President.
thank you. Thank you, man.
So next on our list is a development code update. And before we get to that, the city council will now conduct a public hearing regarding proposed code changes identified in the Mount Angel Development Code and Mount Angel Subdivision Ordinance. These proposed code changes are included in Exhibit A.1 and Exhibit B of the staff report, which the city council received as part of tonight's agenda packet. For reference, the city case file number is LA 2024-01. I will now open the public hearing at 7:38 PM. Approval criteria for legislative decision-making are found on the Oregon statewide planning goals and guidelines, City of Mount Angel Comprehensive Plan, and Section 2 of the City of Mount Angel Development Code. These criteria are also cited in the staff report addressed in the Planning Commission. The hearing shall be conducted pursuant to the City Council's adopted rules of procedure. Following procedure will be followed. For receiving presentations and oral testimony. Presentation of staff report will be given. Public shall be invited to testify. Staff shall be invited to comment on the testimony. The public hearing may be continued to another hearing date to allow additional testimony, or it may be closed. The body's deliberation may include questions to staff, comments from staff, or inquiries directed at any person present. With that said, I will now ask the city planner to present the staff report.
Thank you very much. I'm Kurt Fisher. I'm your contract city planner with Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments. I've been working on this code amendment package with the Planning Commission for the better part of the last year. Primarily in response to House Bill 3395, Senate Bill 1537, housekeeping related to ORS 197A 400. And also addressing some priorities of city council that were passed on to me, priorities that identified by city staff. And general technical clarifications and updates. So to address House Bill 3395, there are two main policy changes that address duplexes and single room occupancies, primarily in areas where that are zoned for single family. So under HB 3395, jurisdictions are required to prevent duplexes under the same rules as applied to single family homes on any lot that's zoned for single family use. So all the same standards apply. Jurisdictions can't apply any more restrictive standard to a duplex than otherwise applies to single family on a single family lot. So that means jurisdictions can't require larger lot sizes for duplexes. They can't limit them to corner lots. And there's a specific section in the Mount Angel Development Code that's a special set of requirements for duplexes that had to be removed. Same thing for single room occupancies. Single room occupancies are it's not a new housing type, but it's got a new definition in state law now. It's basically a dormitory style residential development, similar to multifamily, except the individual rooms are rented out individually and the tenants share common bathroom and kitchen facilities. And on single family lots, those are required to be permitted under the same rules for single room occupancies up to 6 units. And then for single room occupancies with 5 or more units on multifamily lots, they are subject to the same requirements as multifamily for density. 1530 Senate Bill 1537 updated the procedures that local jurisdictions can apply to limited land use decisions, and those are primarily housing applications. So in the state of Oregon, we're required to only approve residential development according to clear and objective standards that can't have the cause unreasonable delay for the approval of housing. So in order to, I think, execute the spirit of that policy, they made a certain change to a set of limited land use applications that prohibits jurisdictions from holding a public hearing on those specific applications that are partitions, subdivisions, and site design review primarily for residential applications. For those applications that meet all the clear and objective standards in the code. The opportunity for a public hearing would come on appeal. So anybody receiving notice of the application and submitting written comments on an application would then be able to appeal the decision and then request a public hearing at the appeal level. So one thing that Planning Commission did is, so the minimum notice requirement is 100 feet from a development site that's subject to the application. Mount Angel has typically required more, 250 feet, so they maintained that to make sure that more people would get notice. The minimum comment period is 10 days, and they increased that to 20 days to just provide more time and more opportunity for affected neighbors to review a decision, decide whether they want to appeal, submit their comments, so they can have more opportunity to preserve the right to appeal and request a hearing if they want. It's important to emphasize that only applies to, again, those applications that meet all the clear and objective standards. There's a number of ways that applicants can get flexibility in code. For instance, instead of a subdivision, they can choose to do a planned unit development, which offers more flexibility to certain development standards. There's the major variance process. There's similar use determinations, and there's code interpretations. If they request any of that flexibility, then that would still go to planning commission for a public hearing. So it's only for those applications that follow that clear and objective path. There's also a set of mandatory housing adjustments in Senate Bill 1537. Those all generally fall within the guidelines of minor variance in the Mount Angel Development Code. So there was another criteria that was added to minor variances to capture those. So it's set up so an applicant can either follow the existing process for a minor variance that Mount Angel has always applied. That's still going to be the most popular path, I predict. Or if they want to have the certainty of one of those mandatory adjustments, they can go through ORS, they can submit as part of their minor variance application, documentation that all the conditions and qualifications for that application are met. I don't expect that that's going to change existing practice very much at all. And then there are some additional priorities that were passed on to me, identified by city council and staff. The prohibition on parking in front yards in residential districts, that's always been the policy. Apparently it's been buried in different sections of the code, so that wasn't always effectively communicated to certain people. So those that standard is cited prominently in the single family district. It was already in the multifamily district in the general development standards. So that change was made. Lot area requirements for multifamily developments. The old lot area requirements for multifamily development was very high on a per unit basis and resulted in a very restrictive density standard. And was communicated to me that was definitely a deterrent to permitting multifamily development that was otherwise approvable under other sections, or meeting the rest of the requirements of the code. So we reviewed those and reduced those lot area requirements. We used Albany as an example. We didn't want to use a model for a city that's Portland or Eugene or Seattle or a large city that has really high density. We thought Albany was a good choice because they have similar developments like we have in Mount Angel, and they actively update and use our code regularly. So that seemed to be a good choice, a good model to base the changes on. There are some certain other things like in the general commercial district, eating establishments weren't specifically permitted in the commercial general district, which seemed to not fit in with the culture of Mount Angel at all. So that is the high level summary of what's in the packet on page 8 and 9 of the staff report. There's a couple recommended motions that are listed there for whoever feels compelled to make the motion. The recommendation is to adopt LA 2401 as presented by staff and advance the changes to first reading of the implementing ordinance. And with that, I will conclude my staff report and respond to questions.
Do any councilors have questions of staff before we proceed with receiving public testimony? Counselor Ott. Counselor Donovan. Counselor Black. Hearing none, I have two. Actually three. So, I did notice in here that, conditional use is no longer allowed in residential. Said conditional uses could no longer apply to residential developments. So my question with that is, do we have any conditional use permits currently in residential?
So all the residential developments, all the residential uses that were previously in under conditional use or required conditional use in residential zones, those have.
Okay, so we won't have anybody who's on an expiring conditional use permit that's gonna suddenly be affected by those changes.
They'd be so they would still be permitted to make improvements to their property, use their property in accordance with that apply as part of that existing. But if they want to make any changes or expand in any way, then they would have to comply with the current standard.
Okay,
But generally, the standards now are reducing the process required. So in general, it makes it easier to promote those. But the conditional use is a discretionary process, so that's why it can't be applied to.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't gonna end up with somebody tied up in the mix, so. It's on page 17 of the staff report, which is packet page 119. Under 5.9, final approve of subdivision. So everywhere else I've noticed that the planning commission got replaced with what city planner. And on item 5.9F, it said it changed from the chair of the planning commission to the city manager, and I just wanted to double check that. That is actually the city manager is the final approval for the subdivision.
For the signing of the plan.
Okay,
So.
I just make sure it wasn't supposed to be city planner.
So not the so not the actual preliminary decision or tentative plat.
Okay,
But the signature that goes on the Mylar that gets recorded.
okay,
With the county surveyor.
okay. It's just, I kept seeing city planner, all these other things, and then that one was city manager, and I just wanted to make sure it wasn't a typo. And then what was our multifamily standards and what are the new ones? I saw the.
The old ones were, it's in the RM zone, so the old standard is struck out. So the old standard required, 10,500 square feet for the first 3 units. And then 3,500 square feet for each additional unit.
And what did we modify it to?
2,000 for each studio or 1 bedroom, 2,400 for each 2 and 3 bedroom unit, 3,000 for each 4 and over bedroom unit. And for single room occupancies, 2,000 square feet for each unit over 6 units. And again, those are taken from the city of Albany. Because they have those similar requirements, lot area requirements for multifamily. Not all jurisdictions do that. But that's one of the jurisdictions that does, so that's why. We rely on that as a company.
I just didn't want to accidentally do super high density apartments.
That's kind of what it is, right? Basically, it's just you're going from a lower density to a higher density housing.
It has the effect of increasing density, yes, but
So
the previous requirement resulted in a really low density that was similar to the higher limits of single family density in other jurisdictions, so. Parking requirements still apply, so there's still gonna be other limitations on the lots. So there's other requirements that have to be met that a developer will have to meet, but also constrain the number of units that they can put on a lot. No changes to height requirements,
My question.
so it's not gonna result, it's not gonna, I don't think it's going to have the effect of, we're not gonna see a lot of higher density multifamily development because of those additional requirements.
Did this, I know I was just perusing through it, but I didn't see anything. Does it affect our master plan for population growth? This,
Yes, well, I mean, it doesn't, it allows us to hit that target, so that was a comment that the LCD made.
right, but what I'm saying is does that move the goalpost further? Or did it stay the same?
Stays the same.
Okay.
So it makes it more likely to reach the goal, to accommodate the projected housing.
Cause it almost seems counterintuitive, it almost would be like you're at, if the way I read this right, it's you're pushing for. And I get it, you want the more affordable housing for less, or more bang for less buck. And what they're trying to do is higher density in a shorter amount of space, which means that we haven't accounted for this population growth yet, because this new law is just taken into effect. Am I correct?
Are you referring to utility master planning?
Yes.
So the housing needs analysis for multifamily identified small shortage of availability of multifamily.
Mhm.
So we didn't have the capacity currently, or right at about the capacity to meet the projected need. The assumption in the housing needs analysis was 18 dwelling units per acre. That was the density assumption. But under the current standards, ignoring every other development requirement, the maximum that could be achieved on any given lot would be 12 dwelling units per acre. So under the old standard, we had no chance of meeting the multifamily need as identified in the housing needs analysis. So it's not changing the goalpost. It's another tool to reach the goalpost, to reach the goal.
What's the new dwellings per acre? We're at 12, what are we at now? How much are we signing up for?
I don't know.
And was this in relation to anything other than the housing needs analysis?
I'm sorry?
So was this change related to any House bill, Senate bill, or was it simply because of the housing needs analysis?
It was in response to input from city staff in their experience with developers or potential developers that were looking to develop multifamily housing.
Any other questions?
How long have you guys seen this? Is this the first you've seen this?
Yes.
Sorry, is there anything in here that would affect current residents of Mount Angel from where they're at right now?
In fact, I'm sorry?
Current residents of Mount Angel. Is there anything in here that could affect their situation?
What
Or is this just like
what they can do on their lot
Yes.
with their property,
Yes.
it increases development options for residential, on residential lots. So it's not, there's nothing in there that's more restrictive than what they can do.
I will now invite members from the public to testify.
I have a letter, I would like to.
In regards to the code? Okay. All right, hearing none, before I close the hearing. make sure that we've already checked that there's nobody interested in testifying tonight. Once I close the hearing, only the council or staff may speak. Hearing none, I will close the public hearing at 7:59 and will now entertain further deliberation from city council or a motion. I personally dug through this pretty close. The only thing that I don't like, to the point I don't know if I could personally vote for this evening, is I wanna know what those changes do to our dwellings per acre. I wanna know what we're signing up for. If we knew they were 12, but we don't know how many we're signing up for now.
So the 12 just comes from a back of the napkin calculation using the old standard.
So what's the napkin on the new one?
It depends on what there's more specific requirements for each unit. It's engaging in speculation as to what a developer may propose. You certainly can go to a traditional dwelling units per acre density standard. That's not been written in the non-angel development code.
Okay, so we don't know what we're signing up for. Okay. I would entertain any motions anybody has.
I'll move to continue the public hearing to a later date.
Yeah.
Not the public hearing, but speak on, I move to continue the discussion on the proposed amendment to the next council meeting, which is in February 3rd, I believe so.
So may I suggest that if that section is a problem, that we could remove that section from LA 2401, take that up separately, and then advance the rest of the amendments. 1537 took effect on January 1st.
I'm gonna ask staff what they think. If there's an urgency to get the rest of this done and we can't afford a month, if we should just strike that section and take it up by in and of itself.
Colby, do you have any input?
So,
Do you have any input on what the mayor is asking?
no, I don't have the calculation. As far as input goes, the request was made because in the past we've had quite a few developers come in interested in multifamily development that are turned away by the density standards. And so that was the whole point of that particular change was to try to make it more interesting for development coming to the city. To promote that, but we have to get the calculation.
So the question is, should the council move ahead with the development code with the exception of that particular portion of the
Yeah, I
development?
agree with her on that one, that we could remove that section, deal with it independently, and then advance the next, or the rest of it to the next segment.
Okay,
So then the motion could be move to adopt the amendments, findings in the staff report, with the exception of changes to MADC 6.2 subsection D 1C. Which would remain unamended.
Getcha. Could I just take my notes? You're the closest one, so.
So the citation, have the citation if you want the citation.
Well, I probably should have made a comment earlier, but I'll make it now before I make the motion, but. I just have this feeling that people are. Afraid of apartment development coming into our city, but I grew up here and there has not been new development in apartments for my entire life. So moving forward, if some developer wants to come in and spend. You know, $15-20 million that we can tax. I'm not afraid of it. Because we have barren property that's been sitting my 57-year life that nobody's touched. So, anyway. I will attempt this motion. I move to adopt the findings in the staff report and legislation amendment LA 2024-1 and approval of ordinance 780 with the removal of MADC 6.2 subsection B1C. Close enough?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Counselor Hofer and a second from Counselor President Peter.
Counselor Peter,
Aye.
Counselor Hooper, oh, you need to, sorry, we have to be back. Could you read the title of the ordinance, please?
Ordinance.
So may I interrupt? So we should make a decision on the public hearing. Make a
Okay.
decision to move forward, advance the proposal to first reading of the ordinance. Then do first reading of the ordinance.
Oh, okay.
Two actions.
Okay.
One is the end of the land use.
Okay, I already closed that.
Yep.
Okay,
So a motion to accept the changes and advance the amendments to first reading.
perfect. And that's what he just did. That's what we're gonna say he just did.
Yeah.
Right? Okay,
That's what I intended to do.
so we can vote on accepting it as amended and then the first, and then move into the first reading, correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay. Let's do this again. Counselor Eager,
Aye.
Counselor Hooper,
Aye.
Counselor Astorga.
Step down.
He stepped out.
Oh, no. Counselor Donahue. Aye. Counselor Ott,
Aye.
Counselor Bullock,
Aye.
Mayor Powell.
so now I would entertain a motion for the first reading of ordinance number 780. An ordinance amending sections 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, and 10 of the Mount Angel Development Code and all sections of the Mount Angel subdivision ordinance. Packet page 136.
Alright, what do you want me to say? Where are we? Approving the, what?
Motion to hold the first reading.
Hold the vote, that's what we're doing, is holding the first reading.
Yeah, I would say, move to approve a first reading of ordinance 780.
Move to approve the first reading of ordinance number 780.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion from Counselor Donahue, seconded by Counselor Hofer.
Counselor Eager,
Aye.
Counselor Astorga,
Aye.
Counselor Donahue.
Aye.
Counselor Ott,
Aye.
Counselor Hooper,
Aye.
Counselor Bullock,
Aye.
Mayor Powell.
Aye.
Okay, thank you all.
Yeah, cool. I just have to read it in title, correct?
Just the title, correct?
Okay. Ordinance number 780, an ordinance amending sections 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, and 10 of the Mount Angel Development Code and all sections of the Mount Angel subdivision ordinance.
Bring that back for a second reading next month.
Okay,
That was fun.
Next, we have adopting a master fee schedule, resolution 1598.
Cause I know you would miss it if it didn't show up again, right?
Right. I thought, where was my fee schedule?
I know, so I brought it back. You're welcome. We had to do an update every January for the SDC fees. So that's what we're doing. That was the only change. Correct? Yes. That's the only red.
Any questions? All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
I move to approve the attached resolution adopting a master fee schedule for services provided by the city of Mount Angel.
Second,
I have a motion by Counselor Astorga, seconded by Counselor Bott.
Counselor Black.
Aye.
Counselor Eater,
Aye.
Counselor Hooker. Aye. Counselor Astorga.
Aye.
Counselor Donahue.
Aye.
Counselor Ott.
aye.
Mayor Snyder.
Aye. Next, we have the Vector truck lease. Again, correct? I'm just gonna ask in the meeting. Would you like me to refer to you after each one of these items or go directly to the contact person?
Your choice. We're good.
Tara, would you like to share?
Sure, as a handout, you have the actual resolution that should have been included in the packet. Resolution 1600. So as history, you already approved Mark to sign the lease agreements, but the lease agreements require a resolution authorizing Mark as a signer. So to get the lease documents properly completed, we needed to have this resolution pass.
Any questions from council? I double checked, the price didn't go up. All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the attached resolution authorizing Mark Daniel, city manager, to sign and execute the lease documents for the Vector combination truck.
I'll second.
A motion by Counselor Eater, seconded by Counselor Astorga.
Counselor Ott.
Aye.
Counselor Black.
Aye.
Counselor Eater.
Aye.
Counselor Hooker.
Aye.
Counselor Astorga. Aye. Counselor Donahue.
Aye.
Mayor Dodd.
Aye. Next, we have the budget calendar. Like share with us the calendar.
So every January, I try to bring this calendar, this as a notice to when future budget committee dates are going to be. Which starts, as now, it's tentative April 10th, but that could be moved to a later date depending on if the budget is ready to be presented and made a public document.
Anyone have any necessary changes or questions? Excellent. City managers, before we jump into your report, Mark, I think we have some things we're dealing with an interested citizen. So let's, your time to talk was like an hour. Sorry, but I think there was a confusion because of how many people were in the room. So I'm gonna go ahead and slide you in and you can have your 3 minutes of read your letter. And then that way you guys can go ahead and get out of here. So if you want, you can stand up there, come up here.
Hi everyone, my name's Monica Guerrero. You might remember me from a couple months ago. I was here, I came to discuss the issue of the unnecessary blockage of my home on 290 Auto Street. I was told I would receive a letter addressing the issue and what was going to happen with the tree going forward. I didn't receive a notification before the barriers went up. And I have yet to receive any answers, which is why I'm here today again to express my concerns on this ongoing issue. In the last meeting, I felt resentment towards me, because the past homeowner of 290 Auto Street was brought up, Hugo Guerrero. He happens to be my father. He hasn't lived at this address in 2 years. The situation and issues of the street before I have lived at this address has no relevance to me, as I should not be punished for it. I have maintained Auto Street for the last 2 years, paying for gravel and picking up debris. I have some pictures of my maintenance of the street. I don't know if you guys can see. There's a big one that fell down in the middle of the street. I've been maintaining it, mowing the lawn, putting gravel down. And this is what the street looks like now. If you haven't seen the barriers here are the barriers. And then on the other side of my property, there's a line of trees. Let's see. The reason I feel targeted is because I've been harassed on multiple occasions by the police on where I can and can't park. Here I have evidence of my neighbors parking in the same direction I have parked before, and till this day remain parked and unbothered by the police. I also have pictures of this. I think that's the reason they put up the barriers. Parked there and head in that way. I've been told I can't park head in. I've gotten written warnings as well. Another subject I feel is worth mentioning is the funding of this potential project. I believe this is unnecessary spending of our tax-paid dollars to plant barriers in front of our home where there are already trees planted by our neighbors blocking the middle of the street. Auto was already undrivable, so putting up the barriers was unnecessary and a waste of money. As I feel it was done out of resentment. I feel there is no reason to start a new project when neighboring streets need more fixing. It would be a pointless project when College Street and Railroad Avenue are already in very bad condition. Due to so many potholes, it damages many vehicles, tires, and rims. Thinking of these other streets before proceeding with a new project would be very beneficial for the community. I would like some answers this time, and if there are none, I kindly ask that the barriers be taken down, as they negatively affected nobody but myself. Hence why I feel targeted. Before the barriers were placed, parking in front of my house affected nobody. Thank you guys for your time, and I hope this situation doesn't go unnoticed this time.
If you care to leave your letter with our clerk so that we can respond to you.
Again,
Just leave it to us.
Okay, yeah, the letter you read, can you leave it with Colby so it can get
so I
addressed?
won't get a response again.
No,
Can I ask a few more questions?
so we just actually went through this. And so the way this is meant to work is we actually need you to leave a letter so that staff can respond. And so what happens is you're given 3 minutes to appear as a citizen. And then we need to let our staff respond accordingly.
Okay.
So it's not a discussion item with the entire council.
So she'll get a response made.
Yes, so it will go to staff and staff it's on staff to respond accordingly. And then if something continues, then you can come back and make another appearance.
Oh.
But that's
So no
ultimately how it
questions
works.
can be answered today.
No.
Okay, all right.
Mark, go ahead and start your report.
Sure. We'll be,
Thank you.
Thank you guys.
thanks for leaving the letter, appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
So my report, today, the city took another major step forward by beginning the process of creating a strategic plan. This afternoon, city staff, leadership team, all met with the three other communities, Depot Bay, North Bend, and Lincoln City, along with the consultant, who are all working through the League of Oregon Cities as a cohort to create a strategic plan for the cities. We're all doing that for our own communities, but we're working together doing it. One of the steps of the strategic planning is to get information from our stakeholders. We were able, thanks to their assistance, to come up with a survey, which will be sent out via email link to the stakeholders in the community for them to help us prioritize items for the community. In the next few months, we will be retooling the city's vision for 2035 and coming up with a new look at what our mission truly is. It was very exciting, as this will help us prioritize projects and a better budget for the future. And actually, it was really cool because our city was first getting our survey questions done, and we were first getting through a lot of the stuff that the consultants had asked us to do. So it was pretty exciting going through this first step. And I really like the process, working with League of Oregon Cities and the other three communities, because they're not just kind of letting us hang out there. They're kind of actually leading us through the process and teaching us a few things in a way. So it was actually a really cool meeting. Second thing, I have been preparing a new proposed lease and rental agreement for the senior center building. I hope to have that in the mail tomorrow morning. I sent similar documents to them by certified mail last year, however, they went unanswered. I'm hoping that they will want to have some conversations with us since there is no agreement in place on the real estate. I want to thank everybody who assisted me in preparing to recognize Mayor Wall tonight. I think that all went pretty good. I think maybe I overwhelmed it, but I'm not sure. Staff and I are happy to answer any questions that you might have. And just as a scheduling statement, I'll be out of the office beginning late tomorrow afternoon until next week, attending Chiefs Conference in Seaside. But I will be available by phone and email and text message.
All right, moving on to councilor reports. Councilor Storer. Councilor Over.
Nothing.
Councilor Eater.
Who's in charge of the maintenance on Academy?
Well, technically we are, but I called the county and they'll come out and grade it for us.
Okay, because it needs some tender loving care.
Yeah,
And they do that on a regular basis, you just have to call
I just have to call them.
Okay.
They were out about a month ago. Or, yeah, roughly a month and a half. This time of year, it goes pretty fast.
them. Yeah. How are we doing on the budget, any members? Nobody,
I got an application today. So I responded that that application will be brought to city council in February.
you're down how many?
I believe I has two, if that one gets accepted, I believe I still have two vacancies, but I'd have to confirm. One or two. I couldn't even tell you. I just like saved it as.
I have a verbal commitment from somebody who's supposed to turn in their application, but I think that might be it.
She works at a community. Union, a credit union, excuse me, I believe.
Then we might have to.
I might have somebody.
Okay. It'd be nice to have people to choose from.
Election results.
Right.
Sorry, bad joke.
That's all I had.
Councilor Rock.
I got nothing.
Councilor Donahue. 0. Councilor Black. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to have you.
Yes, great to have you. Do we have any committee reports? No. Mayor's report. So. Have much other than. So I'm gonna do my best Pete Wall impersonation right now. First of all, thank you to those who were elected this evening for volunteering. For this often thankless job. And for continuing to fight for what's best for the community. And I do feel that this has been an excellent council for the 2 years I've been on it, and despite anybody's differences, the answer has always been what's best for the community. My hope and expectation is that it stays that way. I personally hope that we focus on the items that bring quality of life into our community. Parks, libraries, clean streets, infrastructure that doesn't cause sudden rate hikes, all of those things. The other thing is please have patience with me. It will be bumpy for a little while. And I welcome any feedback that anybody has, and I have a proverbial open door to anyone, whether you're happy, mad, or otherwise. Please let me know. I would appreciate it. Two other things. One is trainings. So League of Oregon Cities has the newly elected government official one. If you haven't taken it, I haven't taken it yet, but I'm scheduled to take it right after our next meeting. So next meeting is still gonna be a little bumpy. And then also a reminder, if you haven't already, there is the Oregon Ethics Commission required training. I signed up a couple weeks ago and they were both already out into February, so just as a heads up. I do hope that we can consider some potential additional sessions for us as a group. Maybe do a little bit of training to make sure we're following everything we're supposed to be doing, and more importantly, maybe around March time, sit down and do some goal setting and kind of talk about what everybody really wants to get out of this, and make sure everybody's as I put it to everybody in town, making sure everybody's rowing in the same direction on this boat. I also want to encourage everyone to listen in or join or otherwise participate in another group here in the community, as if we don't do enough already, but whether it's chamber, school board, budget, maze, any of the above, and really again, finding collaboration opportunities. We're blessed with a lot of volunteers in this town. There's just a lot of opportunities that hopefully we can focus on together in the coming year, couple years. And I will end my report with what I'm going into 2025 with, which is rising tides lift all boats. So whether that's other groups in the community, whether that's our neighboring communities, all of the above. So that is all I have. And with that, the city council for the city of Mount Angel will now meet in executive session pursuant to ORS 192-660 section 2F, which allows the council to consider information or records that are exempt by law from public inspection in executive session. Representatives of the news media and designated staff are allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room, and virtual attendees will be placed in the waiting room. Representatives of the media are specifically directed not to report any of the deliberations during executive session, except to state in general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, we will return to open session and welcome the audience back into the meeting. City of Mount Angel will now close executive session and reopen the city council meeting of January 6, 2025, for which is now adjourned.